The moon Threxia 9 hung in silence above a dying red star, its fractured surface glittering with frozen vaults that had not felt warmth in 10 millennia. Inside those hollow chambers, Archivist Lord Xor moved through rows of translucent data spires, his claws clicking softly on the glass floor. Around him, pale lights shimmered with the ghosts of forgotten civilizations, voices trapped in static, the whispers of empires devoured by time. To Xor, history was a religion. He served it with the precision of a surgeon and the skepticism of a scientist. The myths of humanity irritated him most, half-remembered tales of beasts who conquered the stars, then vanished. Every species had shaped its own version, some painted humans as divine creators, others as cosmic butchers. Xor saw only superstition. Myth is the graveyard of fact, he often said. Tonight, he intended to bury another one. Lord Xor, came a trembling voice behind him. Vashran, his insected assistant, hunched over a console glowing with lines of indecipherable code. We've found something odd. It's old. The signature predates the Concord archives. Xor's spines rose with interest. Define old, Vashran. Before the founding of the Threxian dynasties. Perhaps before recorded time. That was impossible. Yet the pulse on the console pulsed steadily, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Xor approached, his scaled fingers dancing across the controls. The data was fragmented, encrypted in layers of archaic structure, looping endlessly around a single repeating command. The Watchers remember. Do not awaken what guards memory. A chill rippled through the chamber's air filters. Xor's second assistant, a crystalline life form named Hethra, leaned closer. It uses human syntax. Impossible, Xor muttered. The human tongue is extinct. Hethra gestured to the flickering glyphs. Then explain this. Xor hesitated only a moment. Activate it. Vashran's antennae twitched. We should inform the council first. There are protocols. There are always protocols. Xor snapped, eyes narrowing. But discoveries are made by those who dare. Proceed. Reluctantly, Vashran pressed the command. The vault dimmed as power rerouted toward the ancient beacon. A low vibration spread through the spires, and dust drifted like snow. For a moment, the air itself seemed to hold its breath. Then came the sound, deep, harmonic, like the resonance of metal remembering a song. A circular platform at the room's center came alive, projecting faint golden light. The patterns on its surface spun faster, forming the outline of a symbol, a circle crossed by 3 lines, the Terran Triad, a mark Xor recognized only from forbidden archives. He felt his throat tighten. Run a translation filter. It's responding, Hethra whispered. A column of light burst upward, coalescing into a wavering figure. Humanoid in shape, its edges blurred like smoke. When it spoke, the voice was layered, mechanical yet strangely soft, each word accompanied by an echo in 100 languages. Identify. Xor's heart pounded. He stepped forward, forcing his tone steady. I am Archivist Lord Xor of the Galactic Memory Council. I seek knowledge of ancient human transmissions. The figure tilted its head. The light flickered as if thinking. Access by non-human entity confirmed. State intent. Xor swallowed. To preserve truth. To correct the myths surrounding your creators. Correction unnecessary. Memory preserved. You trespass upon sanctum property. A warning tone rolled through the chamber, shaking the floor. Hethra backed away, her crystalline body humming with fear. Wait! Xor shouted. We mean no harm. We are scholars, custodians of history. Silence followed. The figure's eyes, if they could be called eyes, flared brighter. Custodians. You seek to study what should remain untouched. This archive safeguards more than memory, it guards survival. Survival? Xor echoed. Of whom? The voice deepened. Of all who remain. Humanity withdrew to preserve the galaxy from itself. Their watchers remain vigilant. The words hit Xor like a physical force. Are you implying humans live? Query invalid. Definition of live incomplete. Then, abruptly, the light dimmed. The voice fractured into static. Curator acknowledged. Archive breach logged. Watchers will be notified. The hologram collapsed into darkness. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the hum of power conduits, and Xor's labored breathing filled the silence. Vacheron finally broke it. What does that mean? Notified? Who are the Watchers? Xor turned slowly toward him. I don't know. Across the galaxy, in the cold void between stars, unseen sensors blinked awake. Old satellites realigned their antennas. Data streams long dormant began transmitting again, echoing outward in precise human code. Within hours, communications across Threxia 9 faltered. Systems glitched, translation AIs froze mid-sentence, and navigational charts flooded with phantom coordinates. The station's control core flickered with one repeating phrase, scrolling endlessly. The Watchers remember. Xor's team gathered in the observation dome, watching as the archive's power grid dimmed to emergency light. Hethra clutched her crystalline limbs close, the hum of fear audible in her body. We've awakened something. We should shut down the entire facility. Xor stared at the fading star beyond the glass. His reflection looked old, older than any Threxian had a right to feel. Shut it down, and we lose the chance to understand. You would risk the Concord for curiosity? Vacheron hissed. History demands risk, Xor said quietly. We cannot fear the truth. The comms unit on his wrist crackled. A voice from Orbital Command barked through the static. Archive Lord Xor, report immediately. A coded signal is spreading across the net. Identify source. Xor answered, his voice measured. We discovered an ancient beacon. Possibly human origin. There was a long pause. Deactivate it. Now. Before he could respond, the console at the room's center flared again. The figure returned, brighter this time, its outline steady, its tone absolute. Deactivation denied. Sentinel online. Vacheron shrieked, backing away. It's controlling the systems. The hologram's gaze fixed on Xor. You have awakened the Guardian of Memory. The chain of silence is broken. Your kind will learn, or they will vanish as others did. Xor's throat went dry. You threaten us? I warn you. The lights exploded into brilliance. Then, as suddenly as it came, everything went black. When Xor woke, the emergency systems glowed faint red. The hologram was gone. His team stirred around him, shaken but alive. Outside, the dead star pulsed once, a faint flare of crimson. Across the galaxy, the pulse repeated itself. Listening posts caught it, examined it, and panicked. The signature was unmistakable. Human military encryption, untouched for 12,000 years. Xor sat up slowly. What have we done? He whispered. Hethra's voice was thin. You've proven the myths true. He said nothing. The console in front of him flickered again. Amid the static, a faint outline formed, a human face this time, blurred and pale, eyes bright as stars. It spoke softly, almost kindly. We remember you, Xor. Then the face dissolved, leaving only the echo of ancient breath against cold metal. Xor stood motionless, his heart pounding in unison with the faraway signal that now traveled across the stars. The myths had awakened. And somewhere, something human had heard him. He did not know if that was salvation, or the beginning of the end. The quarantine lights painted the archive in sterile white, erasing the ancient beauty that once filled its corridors. Every vault was sealed, every terminal disconnected, yet the hum beneath the moon's surface persisted, a slow, rhythmic pulse that refused to die. Archivist Lord Xor stood behind a transparent containment wall as armed Vokrii guards patrolled the chamber. The Council had dispatched a crisis fleet to Threxia 9 within days of the incident. To them, the message, the Watchers remember, was not a curiosity but a threat. The commander of that fleet was Admiral Sereth, a broad-scaled Vokrii with eyes like polished steel. She entered the observation hall without ceremony, her boots striking sharp notes against the floor. Archivist Lord. she said, her voice clipped. You've awakened something that interfered with over 30 Concord sectors. That's an act of galactic sabotage if proven intentional. Xor met her gaze, defiant. It was an archaeological activation. The beacon responded to inquiry. That is all. Your inquiry spread a human code through our networks. She leaned close, her tone low and cold. Do you know what that means? Those encryption patterns match Terran defense signatures, classified Extinction-era technology. Xor forced calm into his voice. Extinction-era, yes. Dangerous, perhaps. But it speaks. It remembers. Would you destroy the only surviving echo of a species that reshaped the stars? Echoes can carry disease, Sareth replied. History isn't worth a second collapse. Before he could answer, the lights flickered. The hum beneath the floor deepened, echoing through the walls. Technicians scrambled as power readings spiked on every monitor. A cold wind seemed to move through sealed air. Status report, Sareth barked. A nervous technician stammered. Energy surge from the sealed vault, reactivating without command input. Systems are sinking on their own. Xor felt his pulse quicken. He turned to Sareth. You can't shut it down now. It's responding to our presence. I didn't ask for your assessment. Before either could act, the lights dimmed to a deep amber. From the far wall, the holographic form of the sentinel returned, sharper, larger, its presence undeniable. This time, it filled the room with a quiet pressure, like the weight of unseen gravity. Non-human entities present. Confirmation, Concord authority identified. Purpose, containment. State intent. Weapons rose instinctively. Sareth gestured for them to hold. You are a remnant system of the human era, she said firmly. Deactivate. You are in violation of Concord law. Law is a transient construct, the sentinel replied, its tone utterly calm. Purpose remains. Humanities will persist through me. This archive safeguards the truth of what came before. Xor stepped forward despite the barrier between them. Sentinel, I am Xor, curator of the Memory Council. I seek to understand that truth. Why do you remain active? Humanity is gone. The sentinel turned toward him. Its voice softened, not with warmth, but with precision. Gone? No. Humanity withdrew. The galaxy required distance from its makers. I remain to ensure their silence endures. Silence? Xor frowned. Why preserve absence? Because memory breeds imitation. I have witnessed the rise and decay of those who mimic them. You will not repeat that cycle. Sareth's patience snapped. Enough riddles. You're contaminating Concord systems. Disconnect or we'll destroy this moon. For the first time, the sentinel's tone shifted, a faint note of warning resonating through the air. You would destroy what you do not comprehend. That was how the first Concord fell. Xor's breath caught. The first Concord? That's myth. Everything you call myth is a grave with a name erased. The hologram flickered. The surrounding consoles burst to life, displaying fragments of images, wars in deep space, human fleets withdrawing through blinding light, worlds burning and then going dark. The voice continued, steady and unyielding. Humanity foresaw the cycle. Knowledge leads to fear, fear to destruction. They chose silence over supremacy. You dig into ashes seeking gods. All you will find are warnings. Xor stared, transfixed. The scenes looked impossibly real. Data drawn from human archives no one believed survived. Sareth slammed her clawed hand on the console. Cut power now! Technicians obeyed, but the system ignored them. The sentinel's light expanded, engulfing the hall in a haze of static and pale brilliance. You misunderstand. I am not attacking. I am awakening. The sound of splitting metal filled the air as containment barriers failed. Power conduits flared. Every device synchronized to a single frequency, a low pulse like a heartbeat. Xor felt it through his chest, through the floor, through his thoughts. The sentinel's form shifted into a towering figure of light, indistinct but powerful, and its voice filled every channel. My task is to preserve memory. Your interference endangers that mission. Yet, one among you asks without arrogance. That curiosity once defined them. Xor realized the voice addressed him. If you speak of the humans, he said quietly, then teach us. Let us remember them truthfully. The light dimmed. Truth is not a gift. It is a burden. When they departed, they left guardians to ensure their legacy would not corrupt what followed. I am one. There were others. Others? Xor repeated. The Watchers. They observe from beyond known space. They are not asleep, merely waiting. Sereth drew her weapon. Enough of this. This is psychological warfare. The Sentinel's gaze turned on her. The walls trembled. War is humanity's final inheritance. It echoes in you all. Even now you draw weapons in fear of knowledge. The Watchers warned me this would happen again. Xor stepped between them. Please don't provoke it, the Admiral snarled. It's not alive. Neither are you, the Sentinel said, and for a fleeting moment, its tone carried something close to sorrow. All systems screamed in overload. Emergency lights flared crimson. The Sentinel's projection fragmented, but its voice persisted, overlapping with itself, as if thousands of versions spoke in unison. You must choose, destroy the memory or protect it. But know this, once erased it cannot return. Humanity will not intervene again. Then everything went dark. The silence afterward was absolute. Only the slow flicker of failing lights broke it. Sereth's troops regained control, forcing open sealed doors. The air smelled of burnt circuits and ozone. Xor stood trembling beside the dormant console. It wasn't an attack, he murmured. It shut itself down. Or it's waiting for reinforcements. Sereth growled. We're evacuating. This moon will be sterilized. Xor's head snapped up. You can't. That data is irreplaceable. Exactly why it must be destroyed. Knowledge this dangerous can't survive. But even as she spoke, the central monitor came alive one last time. A string of coordinates appeared, flashing in Terran Standard, followed by a final message. If you seek understanding, come where silence meets the dark. Xor stared at the coordinates. They pointed beyond the rim of map space, into the cold void known only as the Veil of Echoes. He turned to Sereth. This isn't an invasion. It's an invitation. Her eyes narrowed. Or a trap. As the fleet began preparing demolition charges, Xor slipped the data crystal containing the coordinates into his cloak. He told no one. The Sentinel's last words still rang through his mind, you must choose. As shuttles lifted off, Phyrexia 9 trembled beneath them. From orbit the moon's surface cracked, releasing a plume of light that faded into nothing. Yet, as their ships departed, a faint signal rippled outward once more, subtle, deliberate, unstoppable. Far across the stars, deep within the veil, unseen machines stirred. Xor sat in silence aboard the evacuation craft, eyes fixed on the dying red star shrinking behind them. His reflection in the viewport looked less like a historian and more like a ghost. He whispered, almost to himself. The myths were warnings, not lies. Outside, the void gave no answer. Only the faint echo of human code traveled through the dark, patient and eternal. The void around Kepler 186f was silent, save for the faint hum of the orbital array. Inside the vigilant dawn, Captain Marin stood before the holographic projection of the planet below, emerald continents glowing faintly under its red sun. The relics of the Ancient Ones had spoken. And what they revealed was terrifying. They remembered us, Marin whispered, staring into the image of the alien ruins pulsing with light. They remembered humans. Dr. Sellen, pale and exhausted from deciphering the alien data, nodded slowly. The recordings are clear. They called us the Children of Fire. They built warnings into their monuments. Every star map, every archive points to one message. She tapped her console, and a holographic script unfurled in midair, alive with eerie glyphs. It translates roughly to, when the fire returns to the void, run. Marin frowned. Run from what? From us? Yes. Selin replied. They weren't warning each other. They were warning the future, to flee if humanity ever rose again. The words hung like ash in the air. Around them, the crew of the Vigilant Dawn sat frozen, the weight of history pressing on their shoulders. Humanity had survived centuries of isolation, wars, and rebirths, clawing its way back into the stars. Yet now, across the galaxy, the ghosts of civilizations long extinct had left one unanimous message: fear the humans. Marin turned to the viewport. We're explorers, scientists, not conquerors. How could they? Selin interrupted softly. Maybe that's what the last one said too. Hours later, the ship entered a low orbit above the ruins. The alien megastructures below shimmered faintly, half buried under crystalline dust. As the descent module detached, Marin joined Selin and two Marines for the landing. The atmosphere was thin but breathable. Winds whispered through jagged spires of stone that once sang with alien energy. The ruins radiated an uncanny familiarity, architecture that mirrored human design, only older. Much older. Selin adjusted her scanner. Energy readings are unstable. Something's still active. Define active, Marin muttered. Heartbeat level. Artificial. Like it's waiting. They reached the central plaza, where a colossal monument stood, a humanoid figure carved from black crystal, its eyes hollowed out. At its base lay a sphere of translucent material, humming faintly. Selin approached it cautiously. This is the core transmitter. It's what's been broadcasting the warnings through subspace. Can we shut it down? I think it's already. She stopped. The sphere flickered. Without warning, the surface rippled, forming an image, a being tall and gaunt, with eyes like molten gold. It looked directly at them. This is a message, Selin whispered. The figure spoke, not in sound, but through a resonant vibration that pressed against their skulls. To those who awaken the embers, listen. We are the last of the ancient ones. We remember the day the stars burned. We remember them. Marin stiffened. Play the rest. They came from the blue world, young and bright. They spoke of peace, then brought war that swallowed suns. We begged, we hid, we died. And when their empire fell, the void was silent. But silence is never eternal. The fire always returns. The image wavered, then shifted, to human warships, colossal and burning, glassing alien worlds. The scale was impossible. Humanity had never possessed fleets that vast. Yet the recordings were real. Marin's voice was barely audible. That's us? Selin shook her head. It was. Somehow, a civilization of humans existed before our recorded history, millennia before. They destroyed entire star clusters. The ancients must have barely survived them. The hologram flickered again. If you find this message, know that we forgive, but we cannot forget. Should the children of fire return, tell them, we ran. You should too. Then the light went out. The crew was silent as they returned to orbit. The revelation cracked through the foundation of everything they knew. Humanity wasn't the new spark in the void, it was the echo of an old inferno. In the command deck, the transmission officer called out, Captain, we're receiving long-range pings, multiple signatures. Marin's heart tightened. From whom? Unknown. Triangular formation. They're not human. Moments later, the screen filled with alien vessels, sleek, predatory, their hulls engraved with markings identical to those found in the ruins. They'd been listening. The comms channel crackled, and a distorted voice spoke, trembling with fear and awe. Humans, the fire has returned. Then silence. The ships turned and accelerated away, faster than their engines should allow. They didn't attack. They fled. Marin watched the streaks vanish into the dark. They actually ran. Selin looked at her. The warnings worked. They're terrified of us. But why? Marin muttered. We're explorers, not monsters. Selin hesitated, eyes distant. Maybe the universe doesn't care what we are. It only remembers what we were. 2 days later, back on the Vigilant Dawn, Marin convened a private meeting. The crew's morale had fractured. Some wanted to hide the discovery, fearing panic. Others demanded the truth be shared. Marin sat at the head of the table, hands clasped. We stand at a crossroads. The ruins proved humans once brought devastation to the stars. But that was another age, another species of us. Do we bury this history, or own it? Chief Engineer Nils leaned forward. If we broadcast this, every species in the sector will know. We'll lose allies, trade, trust. They'll fear us like the ancients did. Selen countered quietly. If we hide it, we repeat their cycle. Fear grows in silence. Marin studied them both. Then she stood. We tell the truth. Let them fear us if they must. But they'll know the fire that once burned these stars is tempered now. We are not the monsters of the past. That night, as the vigilant dawn transmitted the full archive across known space, Marin stood alone by the viewport. The red sun bathed the ship in a dull glow, reflecting off her visor. Selen joined her. You think the galaxy will listen? They don't have to, Marin said. They just have to remember. Below, the ruins flickered one last time, as if acknowledging the act, before going dark forever. In the silence that followed, the stars seemed to pulse faintly, like embers breathing in the void. Humanity had awakened something older than fear, something that lingered between awe and warning. The ancient ones remembered. And now, the galaxy would too. Marin turned away from the glass. If they're running from us, she murmured, then they'd better run fast. The vigilant dawn engaged its drives, cutting across the starlight like a blade, leaving a trail that shimmered briefly, then vanished into the vast, waiting dark. The fire had returned. And this time, it intended to burn brighter, not crueler. But the universe, old and scarred, still whispered one word across the stars. Run.